Try it next time.
I don't know because you're always on your phone.
Oh.
Dude, welcome to Driving Catalyst. Began.
It's heavy today. We'll see how many people jump through the rooms and join us today.
Yeah, there's like 21
Okay.
rooms, something like that. I guess it was even. Yeah. So much goes into
I have to
getting
put
all that
something
together.
on so I look a bit more eccentric. And
Yeah.
there you go.
Look good,
Perfect. Nice
Pyro.
drug rug, dude. Love that. I've got a
Colombian
green
band.
one and white. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm rocking a shirt today. This is from India, handmade from India. My sister brought it home for me. It's a party shirt today.
It's
Hell yeah, dude. It looks
Okay.
looks very
Holiday.
Eastern. Like it.
Yeah.
I'm over here in my LL Bean fleece, you know.
I'm in my Colombia, and then underneath.
Oh! Hell
What
yeah.
it really is you guys shopped at REI and decided, hey, let me just put this on right now.
I actually found this in a trash bag inside a house that I was working on, left by some tenant.
Dude,
Hell yeah.
I found the same thing, but with a 42-inch screen, 42-inch smart TV. They
Hell
threw it
yeah.
away. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and it worked too. It was a little gray. I just had to tweak some things, like staticky, and next thing you know, I had a TV for the next 2 years.
Damn.
It's fucking lucky.
Nice.
Yeah. I found some good
Dude.
stuff by the side of the road this past year too. Got some chairs for my dining room set, stuff like that. It's great. Sometimes you get lucky. All right, so let me see. I've got some links for you guys to so crash notes for today's meet here. All right. So
Welcome, Steve. Welcome, Lee, Chad, Joe. Welcome.
How you dudes doing?
pretty good, man.
What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
So Wednesday, the busiest day of the week for Catalyst. Yep. All right. So I like to start these things off by asking people what driving Catalyst means to them, because sometimes the word drive, which I'm not even sure how to quite quantify the two meanings of that word, but there's some disconnect. But it's great to just put people on the spot and be like, yo, Alexander, what does driving Catalyst mean to you? And then Alexander has an answer, and it's awesome to hear what he has to say.
So you want me to start putting myself on the spot and tell you what driving means to me?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Driving means going forward.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah. So we're combusting forward. We're creating a accelerated path towards integration.
Right. Got some exhaust too, blowing behind maybe. And
The gas fees.
yeah, the gas. That's the how Catalyst is the turbo. Who said that in town hall today?
That is great. I love the turbocharger reference.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been talking about that a few weeks now. Like, what do we do
Yeah.
with this energy so it doesn't get wasted? So what can we do to make a more efficient inputs or intake to, especially with the people who just got funneled out or left over or didn't get funded?
Didn't get funded or something like that. Yeah, there's exhaust in different parts of the mechanism. Like if you're not funded, if you don't get funded, you're like perfectly positioned to jump into a challenge team or something like that. So if you're not funded and you lose all of your interest, and you just end up exhaust, but maybe we could build some little turbo mechanism that then helps you if this option doesn't work for you, then you could go here and help over here and try and like keep capturing the attention and
Catalyst. Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is a catalyst tier I'll break it up with just the thoughts that come to mind. A catalyst leftover launch pad. Does that make sense?
yeah,
So
based off what I've said so far, for sure, yeah.
yeah. So if anyone who didn't get funded needs to be still in the spotlight, so they feel like the fire doesn't burn out. Maybe I'm thinking of like a faucet in a sort of abstract way, where those who don't get funded funneled their proposals back into another layer of like faucet eyes, where their kind of voting structure kind of bubbles back up into another voting process to be kind of looked at.
Yeah, this reminds me of like hard fork or what, or that Quasar is working on similar like idea processing mechanisms where you could, if in once in like, yeah, if you're not funded in Project Catalyst, maybe you go into like a lobby in the middle, and then there's these different options, you know, you could branch out into the next thing. And maybe you just want to still be a proposer. Well, maybe there's other groups of people who I know there are groups of people right now who are working on trying to figure out how to have like not necessarily funding mechanisms. I don't think there's money quite there for that yet, like outside of like inside Catalyst, but like subnetted, maybe like a little incubator type thing with a group of people who are able to control a treasury and then deal out money out of that. But there are,
I think people are still voting with their ADA, so that means that they're still voting with their wallet in a sense, without necessarily putting money. And most people still believe in the catalyst that they're proposing, especially when you're talking on spaces, meaning that there's no funding. But when I from what you said, but what I think is like an Indiegogo kind of thing, or somewhat, where it's like people are still want to support the project that that they see, and the idea that they see and want to prosper. So I think maybe that could be an option as far as like kind of funneling in more attention to the bigger kind of proposal.
most definitely.
So since we have the challenge team here, and honestly, Steve, are you thinking about proposing to DApps and integrations this fund by chance? So I know I threw Seth an invite too, but go ahead, Steve. Any thoughts on putting in proposals for this next fund date?
I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna throw my name in for the DREP group that's going on, and so I may use Fund 8 as a way to practice, you know, what I imagine the DREP thing is going to be. But James and I, James, you know, James has been involved since Fund 1, and I got involved since Fund 2, and so we kind of, you know, it's a slog, right? You know, like it's not a, you have to do this like a tortoise, you know, you can't do it like the rabbit, you know, you kind of have to just like keep your head down and work, and the rhythms and the amount of attention that you have to spread around the community when you have proposals in, it can be very exhausting. And so we were sitting there chatting back and forth to each other while we were watching town hall, and he was like, "Oh shit, man, all of these challenge categories are really you know, they bring up a lot of ideas for us in Gimbal Labs, you know, as, you know, and I work with WADA too. And so it is tempting. You know, like it may happen that we put in a couple of couple of proposals. And I'm forgetting, I am going to put in a proposal in the film category because of a filmmaker that we're working with through Gimbal Labs. By the way, Session, did you know that have you met Mike yet?
Mike who?
Okay. Mike Olcott. This is James's friend. He's a documentary filmmaker. He went to school with, and I never remember how to say the guy's name, the guy that's the head of Def Jam now.
Tunji Balogun.
Tunji. He knows Tunji well enough to call him you know, like that, you know, like because they went to high school together. He was yeah. So we were talking this
that's
morning.
great. He should definitely hit up Tunji and be like, yo, I know Session.
No, man. You know, like Mike and I have got so many ideas to make movies that we need a whole funding round just for us, right? You know, because we've got a plan to go around the world and talk about Cardano and people in Cardano. So
for sure, definitely.
But yeah, no, there's Mike's actually got footage for about 3 short documentaries, and so I think what we're going to do is put in a proposal just to cover editing costs on some of those, or it's going to be phrased somehow like that. I'm not quite sure, but you know, the presentation on all the different challenges was, you know, it was kind of like putting a bug up our butt, you know, between James and I about what, you know, maybe we should write a proposal for Gimbal Labs or 2 or 3, but you know, it's a rabbit hole, you know. I mean, it is work, you know, particularly, you know, and I, you know, since I've been in Fund 2 and I've been a community advisor, you know, like I do find it frustrating to see proposals that I like, right, on the surface, and people drop these proposals and then they never engage with the community. And so I don't want to be one of those guys, but then that you know, that gets you into that, you know, being too busy kind of thing sometimes.
Definitely.
But it's just, you know, it's just that exciting, right? There's just that much going on, and there are that many things to do, and it's a problem, right? You know, this is why I think the DREP thing that's going on is going to be so valuable, because you can pick somebody that's just going to focus on a collection of proposals for you, right? And you can just have them be your proxy. And I really like the idea. I'm more you know, when you talk, you know, when Peter asked that question about driving catalyst, you know, it's I know Chris is race car oriented, right? So the idea is like pedal to the metal. But you know, sometimes in this kind of work that we're doing, it's as much about avoiding obstacles and being the last man standing, right? You know, last one alive wins. You know, that's kind of crypto, I think, sometimes.
You got to be in it to win it. Can't take
Exactly.
yourself on the first lap, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll take
So,
as
and there's
much.
lots.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so there's lots of obstacles, right? Particularly when it comes to governance, you know, like, and I think if we as a community don't keep our eye on the problems, you know, and the way ideals can be perverted, right? We could end up in the same situation as the United States or Canada or any of these Western countries. You know, we have to really, you know, we have to hold on to that standard that we want to maintain.
Definitely. And I think that we gotta, I love this onboarding challenge, and then that there's $200,000 to teach. I think we need to teach people about the mechanism and how the different, like how the cycle of Project Catalyst works and how the different pieces come together. And because I've been around here for like 7 months now, and this past week was the first week I've been to the, like, any of the coordinators meetings and whatnot. And I swear I fucking learned so much about what's going on. And I've been like consistently every week in different meetings around Catalyst, but never in a cohort meeting. And then I go to a cohort meeting. I feel like this huge window was open to like hearing what the different people are working on. And I don't know like what the mechanism is to kind of share that type of knowledge. I mean, I proposed in Fund 7 for a short, a podcast that creates short content, essentially giving people 1-minute slots to talk about their ideas, and doing that every week. So you could come multiple times if you wanted to and hear them, and maybe anyway, and kind of get shorter packages of information more people could consume, because lots of Catalyst is these long hour-plus conversations, and it's hard to keep up. And even me putting in the work for those long time conversations over the past 6 months, whatever, still felt like I was like in a completely new space, learning, seeing the people who have been funded in the past and what they're actually working on. It's super important to be able to see that. And yeah, education, onboarding, seeing all of that. I'd love to I think that's super important for us to, be good stewards of the attention people are giving our community, because lots of people coming in, we want to make sure we're responsible.
Hey, can I ask y'all a question?
Hmm.
Well, I had this idea pop into my head when it came to onboarding, and I was wondering what if people would think it was just a joke if I put in a proposal titled, "I'll talk to your grandmother for you," and then offer to talk to 2 grandmothers a day about getting into Cardano. Do you think that's a bad idea?
Tried speaking with my grandfather about it, and all he thinks it is like magical internet fairy money. And he's like, I prefer gold and silver. I'm like, well, he's like, I like US dollars. And I proceeded to explain to him that we haven't been on the gold standard since Nixon. And he was like, are you sure? So,
Yeah.
Right,
He has a
right.
point though. I mean, we haven't been on the gold standard for the dollar, but
Yeah.
the US still piles a ton of gold, theoretically,
Supposedly.
Yeah, so I could see where he could say, you sure?
I think that's a
Well,
great.
traditionally, I was just gonna say, like the reason I had the thought is that traditionally, like I used to have a license to deal securities back in the 80s. And, back then, the demographic that held the most money was older women, and I just thought, it's a way to get a lot more money into Cardano, but I don't know if that's the point in Catalyst. I just know, like I've onboarded several members of my family and some friends, and a lot of them were older, right? And it's it's a fucking process, right? It takes a long time to kind of like get their attention and get them to start thinking about it, from a zoomed out perspective. But then when you get somebody like that to see it, as a larger kind of picture, it starts to make sense. And I know it's hard, right?
I think you have a point there. I'm thinking in my own experience, in my own family, my Nana was the one who she did the books for that. I'm losing words here, but she did the books for the family, and that was kind of her job, although she was part-time for most of her life. And then I feel like women tend to kind of keep the financial books in order in a traditional mindset, even though like traditionally men might be the breadwinners. I think that might actually be kind of like a way into the average family.
That's the way it worked with my mom and dad. Like my dad just kind of was like, yeah, I tried to watch those videos, man. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then my mom was sitting, and I just sent these videos to my dad. And my mom was sitting there and she was like, what videos?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'll send them to you, you know? And she started watching them. She was the one, right? She was the one. And she's basically, since he sold his last thing, she's handled the money. That was kind of like, it was her chance to be the boss, you know, in terms of money and making decisions about houses and all that shit. And that was, you know, and I hadn't, that was a surprise to me. And, you know, I'm their oldest, you know, but it really went that way. And she drives it now, you know, and like with my brother and his wife, it's my sister-in-law that talks to me about what to do with their bag, you know. In fact, today she just told me, she said, why don't you just, like, when you see a new thing like Meld or Genius Yield or something like that, why don't you just put 5,000 into every new thing that you see? And I'm like, okay.
Thanks, Mom.
Whatever
Yeah.
you say, but I'm not a financial advisor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, yeah, even my partner, she looks at my my bags and she's like, why don't you diversify? I'm like, I'm diversifying in an ecosystem that I know. So it's you know, she's buying, oh my God, she's really smart or she's really lucky, because she always buys at the low on everything. I swear to God. She got Dogecoin at 2 cents, sold at like 75 cents. And I'm like, why did you buy that? And whatever. So, I mean, she's still kind of like DCAs in all sorts of different like traditional stocks and
2 cents to
Ethereum and Bitcoin.
75.
What's up?
She bought at 2 cents and sold at 75.
She
could
bought
have worse
$30
problems.
worth at 2 cents because she doesn't overcommit.
I need her to submit me an Excel sheet of the players she thinks is gonna pop next month. What
you just need to do, Alex, is you need to just have a DApp created, and she can just have it on her phone, and anytime she feels something, she can just push the button and it sends a signal out to all of us.
There you go.
Stocks or crypto intuitions, like women intuitions.
Yo.
No, you can't. It's the Hawthorne effect. You can't let her know she's being watched or it screws the whole thing up. We just got to get alerts when she trades.
Oh
There
my
you go.
God.
There you go. My
So-
gosh.
We have a unique opportunity here, guys, since we onboarded this wonderful challenge team now, and we're just in time for this next challenge run we're coming into. And Steve and Sessions have put in proposals. They're OGs. Still, obviously, could be using fundings. We can also, as challenge team, can also put in proposals for ourselves, and we can support all of these proposals that we like in the challenge with our members, because they're going to be amazing and we're all very talented. So our goal here is in the next week to get coordinated enough to start putting our proposals in, and then help guys like Session and Steve make sure their proposals are very neat and tidy. And
Comments
if they're
and stuff.
generous,
Help
you know,
'em.
maybe they'll want some of our talents on their team. And we'll kind of try to use our talents and facilitate that organization methods. And all of us here have great little niches. So I'm hoping we can all give our little inputs. Go ahead, Chad.
Question. So we're staying in DApps and integration. So everybody that's going to be coming to us is going to have a DApper integration, essentially, and that we're staying just in that lane.
We can put challenges in any challenge as our
proposals in any challenge. All right.
Yeah, we're going to focus helping people in the DApps and integration challenge, but ourselves, we can go and put stuff in everywhere. And as long as we coordinate with each other, it will be very powerful that getting it together in time, because it's a small window. We have like a week to do this stuff and get it done. So as a team, we can really hammer it home. And then as a team, we can assess these proposals down the road. And as a team, we can report on all these KPIs. So that's kind of the gist of what we're trying to get going with the challenge team. Because last time for the challenge team, we had 120 proposals and we had 3 guys and less than a week to really do any impact. So right this time, I bet we have over 200 proposals, but with 20 guys, we could probably handle this much better.
And
And
one
maybe
cat,
piece.
Say that again, Chad.
and one cat. We have 20 guys and one cat.
Yeah, in one challenge for DApps integrations. Yep. And like, yeah, like in the DApps and integrations challenge last time, what was there? $500,000?
250K. This time there's
250.
2.5
So they
billion.
had 100 proposals in a $250,000 challenge, and 9 of them got funded. All right. So there's some perspective. And this is way fucking bigger. So way more work to be done. So.
10x bigger.
So can I kind of rev back, go back a few gears and kind of hold in
You're down.
some of
Yeah.
our yeah. So we talked about what driving catalysts meant to us. Could we go around and figure out what DApp and integration means to each individual that wants to talk with Chris, and then kind of go down the list?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Anybody have
Pyro.
questions?
Great.
Oh,
Well, I'll since I didn't do mine first with the driving one, I'll do it with this. That, obviously the DApp is kind of self-explanatory. It is an app that is decentralized and everything, but the idea with integrations is really freaking awesome, because the way that I look at it is since this is such a new ecosystem, there is so many little middlemen protocol and little tiny little things that need to be duct taped in between the other things, that those integrations can really, like, this year, since we're like connecting in to the legacy system, like the integration side of DApps integrations, I think should overpower DApps a little bit more this funding round, kind of a thing.
okay. I like that. Okay. I'm writing these down.
For me,
Next, Chris.
I don't know if we're going in order, but I'll go.
No.
So
Yeah, let's just go free flow.
yeah, right. So for me, first of all, it's driving catalyst, right? That idea of driving catalyst and DApps and integrations are related. DApps, that's a self-explanatory, but the integrations part is like, how do you integrate Cardano into your lives, right? Like, and so for me, I don't want to start shilling here. I'm not gonna, but music is a big part of our lives. And so that's why I'm building a platform that allows you to play the music like a jukebox. And I think it'll save money over the legacy infrastructure, but it's also just better for the artist and the consumer. So I think that this will integrate well into a music lover's life, thus driving catalysts, right? So yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, next person who wants to go. I'll call on names. Steve.
All right, I'll do it. So obviously driving catalyst is simply that, a way to give catalyst a kickstart, a boost, and send them into a direction where they can actually create things. DApps, obviously decentralized applications, and integrating. Now that's something people in their head, they have like multiple definitions, but I'll give it to you simply like this. Integrating a blockchain, be it Cardano or whatever, into, say, a website or a service or something that allows usable utility aside from transactions or the quote unquote money aspect of it. Let's say a voting system, or like Session said, a music box or a jukebox. Sorry, I don't want to call it a music box. Like, this is not, we're not lulling people to sleep tonight, but just to get some sort of real world use that kind of transcends utility outside of a payment system or some sort of thing. And when I think of integration, I think of easy, right? Now, Chad said duct tape together, and like that's not what I think of when I think of an integration. And I'm not I'm not crapping on him for what he just said, but you know I love you, Chad. But when I think of an integration, I think of a clean, beautiful, well-articulated, well-written, well-documented integration where the pieces match up, the screws match, and it's fluid and it executes properly. And that's what we're working on.
So Delta, would you use the word intentional?
Very intentional.
Okay.
You know,
Integrations are not something that happen by accident while messing around with an SDK. Integrations are very thought out, at least they should be. I'm not going to mention any names, Sunday swap. But
to bring yours and mine together, it's kind of like, you know, because Project Catalyst, they love seeing growth within the fund round. And so it's kind of like, you know, maybe your integration is a duct tape scenario, but through going through the fund round, you wind up finding how slick and sleek and robust it actually
and for
is.
me, yes, but for me, like funding and everything is nice. People are motivated by monetary gain, of course, but I would like to see the ecosystem and the technology extend to something people want to do simply for the fact that they're able to contribute to it. You know, Cardano is supposed to be a thing. It's supposed to be a thing that is a little bit more than just money. At least I think, and I can't speak for Charles, but in my opinion, I think Charles would like to see it go a little bit farther than just money. We're trying to make actual change here in the world and be the change we want to see in the world. And we're doing this decentralized for the simple fact that absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you have no one authority that can make a change and everything has to be voted on and everything has to be built from the ground up, then there's really, in a peer-reviewed process, no room for error. And so if we have a project that we're working on and it's integrated with the blockchain, then you have the security to make sure that no one piece of the project has been altered beyond what the blockchain can either corrupt or verify. And that's what a clean integration is about. It's about building technology over the existing blockchain that functions properly with the utmost security, while also making it easy to use.
I guess, and to add to that with what you're saying then is don't reinvent the wheel. If in the ecosystem there already is an 80% progress of something and your integration to it can help, instead of bringing in a whole brand new thing into the ecosystem, if your integration can help take two existing smaller things and bring them together, that, like, I think that's kind of what you're talking about, Delta, right? That it's like those other systems are probably larger in the ecosystem because of their security, because of the way they've already adapted and stuff like that. So yeah, not reinventing the wheel.
Yes, we're not reinventing the wheel. What we are doing is making sure the edges and the outside circumference of the wheel are nice and polished, because if you're rolling down the street in a car that looks like the ones from the Flintstones, you're gonna get bunions on your feet, and this is not yabba dabba do. We're trying to hit the gas pedal, get them loose, get up underneath them, and get them into a wall. So
all right, so I think I want to hear other people and what DApp and integration means to them. So I want to continue down that list. But I also, when you talk, Delta, I think of UI development, being that polished screen, that polished window out into the integration process. When I think of polish, I think of other blockchains that do it a lot better than Cardano. I think of the Tezos and Solanas, where they hire these beautiful UI developers to kind of allow that process to be neatly integrated and packaged to the user that makes them feel comfortable. Because
yes.
if you have a pretty present, it doesn't matter what's inside, you're still excited to use it, right? Or to open it up. So that's I always felt like UI is very important, and a lot of developers who have their heads down in building aren't thinking necessarily, let's build that UI. I think like UI development lacks in a lot of these heavy like Cardano, and then I think of one particularly almost like Ergo. You look at the their auction, their what is their auctions, their marketplaces, their dexes, and we talked about the things that Sunday didn't do right. Well, let's say what Sunday did do right was make a very beautiful UI, whether it breaks down or not, or the blockchain, mempools get filled up, etc. Like, that's besides the issue. It really makes me feel comfortable to press send on their UI. And I think that is necessary for complete DApp integration for mom, dad, sister, brother, uncle, fam. Could I get someone else as well to talk about what DApp and integration means to them? I'm writing all this down. So like I have Chad's view, Session's view, and Delta's view. And I love the idea that Session had about the player. The player, I would love to see DApp integration go beyond pool.pm and I think Blockfrost, etc., and Smog, and have a little bit better utilization in more of like an maybe that DApp polish. But can someone else?
So yeah, I'll go ahead and go, man.
Yeah, really quick, so you can add another word to your vocabulary. The UI experience is the way that the thing is, but it's the UX is what you're talking about. So the UI is the pretty visuals and the colors and the fonts and stuff, but the UX is the map of how the person walks around the website and does the different things.
Oh, I appreciate that. I put that down, UI, UX. Lee?
Yeah, so, I mean, to me, when I think of DApp and integration, I'm thinking of a mobile phone. And I'm thinking of something that's clean and easy to use. So when I go to Sunday Swap, that actually turns me off. It makes me feel like I'm going to this site that's engaged for little kids. You know what I mean? I want something that you go in there and it's kind of Windows looking, very clean, very professional. You're not having all these little slang terms on it. It's just easy, straight to the point. There's no confusion, and it just works. Something that like I could hand my phone to my son and say, hey, swap out some coins for me. You know what I mean? That's what I think about when I think about DApps and integration. And then I also think like the integration part of like how we can tie it to other things. So like, how can you make this DApp feasible to something in the real world? Because DEXs are great and everything, but how can we make it so that I can go to Walmart or I can go to Wawa or whatever store and I can just have a smooth experience buying something at that store without having to take it, cash it out, put it on a Coinbase card or put it on a crypto.com card, and I can just use my phone like I'm doing, Apple Pay or Samsung Pay. That's what I think about.
Okay, so I can really jump on that and kind of go further with it because of what we're working on in Gimbal Labs. And it's really one guy, but he came into the community last year, into the Gimbal Labs community last year, and he's just been steadily working on this one app. And it's a mobile app, and it's basically a peer-to-peer connector. And it'll contain your contact lists, and it'll contain a calendar. And so we were working on the concept of what is an event, right? And anything can be an event, right? Renting a bed and breakfast is an event. Going to a concert is an event. Having a consultation with somebody is an event. And what kind of has been driving us, as last year went on and we all got busier and busier and busier talking to all these people, we recognize that we need to start exchanging value. And there was no real easy way to do a peer-to-peer transaction. All right. And we're about 6 weeks away from him having a really good beta model of that. And what we're doing is not necessarily going to contain a wallet, but it's going to allow you to like exchange ADA between one another or Ergo. And I'm hoping he puts Bitcoin in there too, because Bitcoin would be nice. But the idea is to just make it easy to just person to person, trustlessly do what you need to do. You know, somebody wants to talk to me about Africa. Hey, here's how you get a hold of me, and here's how you book my time, and here's how you compensate me for taking my time. You know, and vice versa. And I'm very excited about it. It's conceptually because we can take that core code and we can put a different user interface on it for somebody like a wedding planner, right? She's got to talk to a whole bunch of people for a wedding, and it's got to be, you know, timing has got to be great. The interaction's got to be smooth, and everybody's got to get paid, and she can handle her stuff that way. Or anybody, you know, like that is actually interacting with customers, right? But I think, you know, the obvious first use case for something like that, that's kind of based in the Cardano ecosystem, is the fucking Catalyst community. I mean, there's thousands of us in here, and we're all kind of dealing with this onslaught of people, this onslaught of conversations, and this perpetual underfunded nature of these interactions, right? You know, like, you know, and I don't think that we can make each other rich, you know, because it doesn't really matter, you know, like if we're all just trading the money. But if we start to get an idea of how to value time with one another, and we've got some choices in terms of like the crypto that we want to trade value in. You know, this is a really beautiful way to do it. You know, like you might get some of my time for an unsigned algorithm. I probably do a lot for you if you give me an unsig, you know. I wouldn't turn down a space bud, but it's not my first choice. But you know what I'm saying.
I have
So-
Steve, and I appreciate that response. I have Steve for you. I have P2P event and time is kind of like the ideas that I got from you when you were talking about what DApp and integration means to you. So yeah, okay. Does anybody do you want to elaborate on that, or you did really well? I want that unsig too.
You know, the only thing I would add on was a thought based on what Delta was saying, you know, and this idea that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. A couple of years ago, I was listening to a guy, I can't remember who it was, but he said, hey, you know what's truer, right? Because some people, you know, like there are good people and they seem to be uncorruptible. He said, so a truer way to look at that idea is to say that power absolutely attracts the corruptible, right? And I think that when we as a community are sitting on $1 billion, we need to take the lessons, particularly of the last 50, 60 to 100 years, and know what's coming, right? We know what corruptible people look like, and that's kind of how we should be working within the community, is to, you know, be resilient against those corruptible people that will come in and talk real pretty. But that's just a side thought. Sorry.
Well, no, your side thought adds to exactly what you were saying, because that peer-to-peer, I think, is that uncorruptible transaction of value. And
I think he means people. I think he means by people's ethics, not by like the technology, though. That's a big thing that you're talking about. I'm completely with that, and you know, I call myself the Okami, because you know, if you're doing bad things to bad people, I'll come get you. And you know, and I already have a reputation with that, with the way how I operate outside of here. And, you know, I could get some people like to sign off on that stuff on the legacy side. I really think that that is super important. And I actually going to take this time right now to say that, because someone who I do not like is that guy Crypto King. I don't care if people are laughing at me or whatever. I was like, but he comes into spaces and he just starts making them degen, and I don't want him around me when I'm speaking. I'll even start leaving the rooms until people start banning him or removing him from the rooms that we're going to be in, talking about things in the future. I'm getting, all the time. It's almost all the time. He just waits for the right opportunity to just snake in and start making things like degen. And I don't even think like he's from America. And there's other people here not from United States. And let's just say this person definitely doesn't think about the way how Steve, right? Steve from Gimbal. Nice to meet you, sir. My name is Robert Bedoya.
Nice to meet you, Robert.
I appreciate DS9 that you had a because I agree with the idea of professionalism, and that was to Lee's point with the easy, clean, professional integration. But what does that integration and DApps mean to you, DS9? So I can kind of get your thoughts on paper.
Based off of the experiences here, it's the way how apps work, the protocols that make them work, how they attach themselves to the blockchain, and then record onto the ledger. I mean, that's pretty normal stuff right there. So there you go. That's what I think.
Okay. So okay. Do you have a philosophical or ethical viewpoint? I guess your philosophical ethical viewpoint would be non-corruptible, or how I'm not going to speak for you because I'm trying to incorporate that in the words.
That's cool. Thank you for leading this horse in that in a good direction for that. So ethically it should be kind of the way how Charles talks about it. I'm going to say things that he says often. And it's, quantum resistant on hacking. I think we get to that point and then we should be good. That's it.
So I'm gonna write secure, trust-based, and I think I'll leave it at that. How does that sound?
That's fine.
You bring up a point, Rob, because not to get in the weeds whatsoever with this part, but sticking just to the Project Catalyst DApps and integration side of this topic, kind of what we were talking the other night about how there are governments of the world and there are militaries of the world and stuff, and we're over here and we're doing these rebuildings of this infrastructure, yet I brought up the point, until Project Catalyst has a funded project of how we become Cardano the nuclear power, how can we really integrate fully into the world and stuff? And so I think morally and ethically there is this idea that integration softly, the big I integration, is kind of like how we as Cardano integrate into the world, allowing us to have the power and control and stuff that we're wanting to within our ecosystem, but also be able to come to the table with, say, a G7 country or something like that, kind of thing.
Right.
So when I think about that, to your thoughts, Chad, I think of social media, particularly the ones that come to mind, not just Twitter, because that's an easy one. Is like Facebook groups. What else would be a good social media? And I guess Telegram. I would honestly want to like, I don't think Telegram is a good example of that, particularly because it's a very solo experience that you're kind of funneled into to a particular group. So
Well, for
does anybody?
for
Yeah,
social media, like right now we're in a gray area because the metaverse and VR and stuff is still getting implemented. But like right now, how everybody has growing pains getting acclimated with Discord and everything, that UI experience, going back to that UI UX experience is really daunting and it's not friendly whatsoever. I've had this idea that it's like Discord in the VR space is going to be like a skyscraper. Everybody's Discord is going to be their own skyscraper, and every floor is going to be your Discord channel, and you're going to travel to that floor, and then it's going to be a virtual office kind of a thing that y'all are all taking part in. So the UI experience with something like Discord is going to be fixed in VR, and I think will be kind of the number one spot in VR.
So it's like,
super interesting.
yeah, that is, you can basically we like apply steroids to Discord.
Yeah,
I just think that Discord,
There's already a project that applied steroids to Discord. It has full end-to-end encryption. It can be self-hosted. It can be federated, meaning anyone that's already a part of one of these servers can also join any other server. And it's called Matrix, and it's completely open source, and everyone should use it.
Let's
like,
take that
for the integration part. But then, like, as somebody with high anxiety default in nature, I look at the little red notification bubbles on Discord, and I just get anxious every single freaking time I open up the thing. And so there is definitely a lot of UI UX experience that needs to be adapted, integrated still with that platform.
Definitely.
That and Discord as a development platform is absolutely abysmal. There's no such thing as code formatting. There's no such thing as privacy. So God forbid you're working on a project that you've signed an NDA for over Discord, because that's just nightmare fuel in itself. Not to mention there is no deleting a file that was sent over Discord. So let's say you've got some source code files that you've modified to fix a bug. You zip them up, you send them to your friend that's also on the development team. They download the copy, you delete the link, you think it's gone. 6 months later, somebody has the source code files that you sent in the zip file leaked on some forum somewhere, and you're like, how the hell did that happen? Well, I'll give you the reason why that happened. The reason why that happened is because every link that is sent on Discord is cataloged. There is no deleting files from Discord. If you sent it over Discord CDN, it's there forever.
Yeah, exactly. They're taking, this is the same thing as like Facebook technology that they're using, because it's all owned by, you know, how they take your personal data and all that. It's the same thing. It's all owned by them. It's all owned by them too. So yeah, for a while I didn't use Discord because guess what, Gimbal Labs, Steve, because that was like the people who were shady, and I stayed away from that. But I'll deal with it now because they have to.
I did that to DS9 when I didn't I didn't verify my my Discord for the liquid drop, and I was like, I don't want to use Discord. I got other social medias, you know. And next thing you know, I was like, because I was like kind of just sitting in the Liquid Labs Discord, and they're like, oh yeah, for a drop. I was, oh, what's a drop? Next thing you know, my gosh, whatever. Okay.
Because did you know that it was like, you know, one of the big tech, you knew it was part of the big tech machines, right? So you were like, no.
Yeah. No, I didn't. It's not that I necessarily distrusted Discord particularly. I just didn't want to give. I didn't feel like the need to verify my account at the time when I was in the chat, particularly being part of the community. Had I known that I was missing out on a stupid amount of free money, that would have been a different course. But like that's besides the point. The main particular part was, I guess, I guess it was the lack of trust of Discord being the main medium in which a lot of this discussion is in.
Gareth, you got your hand up, bruh.
Hey guys, how you going? I hope you can hear me all right. My
Oh.
microphone. Yeah, driving my truck. Driving my truck.
I recognize that voice.
How you going, guys? Hey, look, DS and I were talking last night briefly, very briefly, about maybe looking at some funding for the education side of things, because, like, you know, we're going to try and talk to editors and you know, some interesting people hopefully in the future. You bring in one senator and others will want to know what the heck's going on and why. So, you know, I'm sorry, changing subject slightly, but I'm very limited on the time, obviously, with driving at the moment. So just wondering what's our outlook on sort of trying to find some funding and handle that side of things as catalyst, like driving catalyst, to get some education out there for preferably some of the bigger names and spread the word amongst the higher echelon, I suppose, get more people aware.
So I would like to know, Gareth, your particular ethos, your ethics, your morals on DApps and integration. Again, to write down our ideas. So I put for your main point education, because that was what you started off with. So I feel like you have a strong kind of a kinship to education. What does DApp and integration mean? Is education a part of it? And I would, yeah, please go.
Absolutely. I mean, DApp and integration to me is as much about educating people cross-chain. Like last night, we managed to talk to a couple of people from Ethereum, and one of them is very, very seriously going to start looking into CNFTs to do their next drop on, because he was saying that capitally that they're a bit capital challenged, I suppose, and they weren't able to do the Ethereum drop. And I said, well, come and have a look at the NFT market. And we got talking and the education side of things, and suddenly there's another person looking at doing a drop on Cardano. So I think good 2 people from Ethereum last night were actually like, wow, we really need to do a bit of research on Cardano ecosystem. It's sounding better than we thought. You know, and one of these guys runs, now he is a major lead on 5 projects. One of them is a small project that I follow and is quite interesting to me. My morals and ethics tend to lean towards aiding education, support for fundraising and things like that. Obviously, I think I've told most of you already, my major belief is in helping fund things like mental health research, psychedelic research, things like that, and obviously looking after kids where possible, kids hospitals, things like that. Always been very meaningful to me, because obviously, I mean, I've had a lot to do with people in situations. I also know how people in the military come in. So
Definitely. Awesome. Yeah. And speaking of education, I think there's an opportunity here as challenge teams. We're going to get to see a lot of people come into this challenge and have ideas and whatnot. And maybe they're DApps integrations, but maybe they're not. Maybe they belong in a different challenge. And we need to be able to say, we need to ourselves know that what's in the pool of, okay, so there's a bunch of piles of money in Project Catalyst. Essentially, that's what these challenges are. And they got a fucking little sign in each one of them that says this money's for this shit. But half of it, nobody knows what the different piles are and whatnot. So us coming in here, super good. Like, cause yeah, there is a challenge that has some money. I mean, all the challenges probably have money for educational components in them. But like that onboarding challenge just seems super, super great place for some education to come out of, although it's only $200,000. We have in DApps integrations is 2.5 million. So I have no idea. It seems crazy compared to any other any other fund ever in Catalyst, this is like the biggest one. and so it's crazy. There's not even like our challenge team is made up of all you guys and whatnot, but like the OGs inside of Catalyst haven't stepped up to be the challenge team for this massive pile of money because it's going to be crazy. All right, not as crazy, not like crazy in a bad way, but there's going to be. It would be very helpful for us to understand what the other challenges are and whatnot. And I love Alexander, you going around here and talking about collecting the morals and ethics of different people who are in our group. I love that. And for me, the biggest thing is I try and help people make groups make whatever the project they're working on as transparent as possible. And that essentially, I'm a project manager and I run a small business with my brother. We run subcontractors, have a construction company. But over here in Project Catalyst, I'm just I'm a secretary. I put quotes next to my name and say I'm a secretary. Why? Because essentially I made this crash notes that we have in the chat here for when we started doing these meetings. And then I was like, I started just dropping those notes in other people's meetings and kind of taking notes, and other people would hop in. And so now I've got several different groups just that I'm the secretary for and get to make a little bit of money helping them out doing those types of things just by providing a common space we can all.
Peter, I think I lost you.
Uh-oh. We good?
I can hear you, Peter.
All right. A common board we can all put our thoughts down, because that helps a lot, especially like we have a lot of long meetings in Project Catalyst, and then we get to the end of it and then nothing happens because no one was like at the end was like, hey guys, what are the next steps and who's doing what? And since no one out front in front of everyone said, yeah, I'm gonna do this, then nothing ends up happening, or it just kind of slips into the ether and ends up showing up later. But then we have the same conversations all the time because anyway, education. Gareth,
I think you have a really good point, Peter. And to me, it takes me back to the Disney movie of Hercules, and when he was fighting the Hydra, and he took off a head, and then two heads came, and the way he defeated the Hydra was tying all the heads together, which I thought was, it's a analogy to what you're saying. Is we're all kind of coming in here with similar thoughts and day-to-day conversations like we do in spaces and on Discords and Gibble Labs, and then until we can tie the thoughts, then it doesn't make the hero become the sage, or it doesn't progress. It doesn't allow you to get the potion.
You don't attain network consensus, so you don't make another block in the chain. Literally, it's like that, almost like that simple.
Why?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to add, like what I was thinking was before, that to me, integration, education is essential to correct integration. So for newer people coming on board from other chains, things like that, making sure the education is there for them to be fully aware of what Cardano is really essential to them knowing how to integrate correctly.
Definitely, and our challenge, DApps and integrations, is more along the lines of what we were talking about at the onset of this conversation. The integrations of education that you're talking about, Gareth, that so there's a challenge called what? This is cross-chain collaboration, and then there's one that's specific for people coming from Ethereum onto Cardano. So there's already two challenges that have to do with these cross-chains interoperability things. It's great. Chad,
so I think you have some sort of keen eye into maybe not the language yet to kind of create that stone, if you will. But Peter, what would you like to be created for part of it, the session in the end? Like if you were to give, obviously that's the golden goose egg, right? But you seem to have a touch to the heater as to this bigger DApps and integration. What is the singular point that you would like to see for DApps and integration for this fund?
Shit, man. Hey, Chris, you want to talk? Chris was the challenge team lead for the last DApps integrations. I've been the secretary. I've been all around. I haven't been paid attention to any one challenge in particular. I have.
Well, yeah.
Can I add something really quick to what we were talking about with Kiwi's point really quick before we move away from that? Because we don't necessarily have to always think in silos either. Like if we have the 2.5 million in DApps and integration, if there's an onboarding for 200K, then to me, both of them can exist in the same realm where the DApps and integration is using the larger purse to make some sort of educational app that's got some sort of like simple quiz function, simple tutorial function and stuff that gets people going from what is blockchain to, okay, now I understand Cardano. And then you use the smaller purse in the onboarding. There's your sales guys. There's your people regionally that their job is to go talk to their congressman, talk to their senator and everything like that. So you have both challenges working together. Maybe the larger purse is the one making the tools, making the stuff, and the smaller purses are getting the grassroots movement going.
Yeah, well, and that's the lots of the successful proposers inside Catalyst have learned how to break up their projects into multiple proposals and spread them out. Because up until now, I mean, I'm talking here with DApps and integrations being 2.5 million. You know, that's a huge fund. Last fund 7. What was it? The biggest one was $500,000. So we're starting to enter this realm where, you know, even, you could put everything in one challenge you probably could get everything funded for one DApp and integration all inside of this challenge, but then you're going to kill all the competition because you'll suck up a bunch of resources. Of that money.
Large thing I'm talking about where it's like, let's say you have 10 different projects using that same skeletal thing of, it's like, okay, within our project, like, okay, this project is to get people in Peru's government onboarded. This other project is to get people in Texas government thing. We'll both utilize the same skeletal structure of going over to the DApps and integration part to get the SOP, to get the UI UX, to get everything tangible to go. And then this other side,
definitely. Yeah,
so
that
Chad, would you
sense.
I'm sorry, Peter. I don't mean to talk over you.
You're good, man. I'm just chiming in. You're awesome. I really appreciate you being here. You go take the floor.
Thank you. So would Chad, the create manifestation, what you're saying, maybe a good proposal for that is to propose that skeletal infrastructure, and maybe you can help me kind of formulate that particular idea that you just said there.
I love visuals, guys. I think the best thing we can do is whatever we're trying to like I see what you're aiming at here. We have to make it so other people can. We have to either simplify the language so we all say it the same way, or we have to have a visual model so we could say it all different ways, but point and have like something consistent.
What Steve said earlier when he was talking about what Gimbal Labs was doing, he said, you know, it was a scheduler, a calendar, like he broke it down into those components and stuff. And so no matter who's coming in through Project Catalyst, when they get to their DApps and integration side, they can first principle break down their digital presence to, what do I need? Do I need a scheduler? Do I need a payment protocol? You know, what do I need of those things? You'll probably find that people that are doing like an onboarding integration, like or a challenge or a proposal in that, they would be able to push themselves through the goalpost easier if there was that tool. kind of thing.
Yeah, and so we could for sure like facilitate those collaborations, and that takes that's what I was talking about earlier, like us kind of having an idea or finding someone that we can become friends with, that we could talk about what the cool things are going on inside the challenge that we're help team managing, so that then when we're talking with our friend or whatever who's in challenge whatever, he tells us who's looking for this cool thing, they need this integration for their thing, and we can go, all right, let's hook these two different challenges together, because then they got a piece and everyone can, this is that driving catalyst, all these gears coming together.
I want to take away what I like doing. I call myself existentially agnostic. So when you take away the paint, all you have is the roots. And that's honestly archetypes, right? So I love the idea of going into Catalyst and having, a interoperability between Catalyst proposals. But I like also what you said, Peter, that it takes away the oxygen from their proposal rather than creating your own. And I think that is important to know, that there is that avenue that they that you can do that, but it doesn't necessarily help your goals because they still have theirs forming. So and I do believe that the on-ramp, to go back to what we're talking about with the DApp and integration and creating a spark and a fire of our own in this discussion, is that particular piece, Chad, where it's creating that like representative consensus model that allows you to have an easier form of whatever this is. Can kind of, oh, someone just rang the bell, doorbell. That's probably somewhere where we could start. I'm gonna look at the doorbell. Chris, you can take it away.
But I was just gonna add to that it's like, when somebody's coming out with something and then they're moving along, let's say it's something like look, use drip drops, for example. Drip drops came out, they solved a problem. And then they wound up having a lot of people that had projects that wanted to utilize that tool. But, as Tap House is showing, they could have went and built their own sort of token dropping, type of thing. But, how quickly can they come to market? What is their intention of what they're trying to do? Tap House came out out of an answer to a problem or a question rather of, can drip drops have more functionality, and also can drip drops not have that 5 ADA cost to it? And so, we can allow, like in DApps and integration, there to be a more centralized kind of like solution rather for people that are coming in that don't have the developer, they don't have the team members ready to go and do that. But we're not corralling people to only utilize that thing. So if somebody comes in with a developer and they're like, this is cool and all, but we kind of want to put this on steroids, then that gives them the ability to make a second version of it.
Right. Yeah, and facilitating introductions, like we're not prescribing anybody actions here. We're just like being a friend. Yo, Gareth, you've had your hand up for a little while. Gareth, no?
You might not know. I will touch on the last challenge for the integration piece there, because what we had going on in the last funding round were these KPIs that we had to meet, and they were very data driven. And it's hard sometimes to dissect these pieces into data. So it's very like, okay, what checkpoints can you put a number to in this field, which not everything you can put a number to. So right now with the challenge team, this round, they're creating like a dashboard, a KPI dashboard. So to make this challenge super easy, basically we just want a tachometer for each of the proposals in our challenge. Hey, how did you start missing? And what do we need to do to help you get funded? And just hitting those three things and going through our KPIs, that will make the dashboard work, which we didn't have before. So the challenge was like this thing where you're looking at this motor run, but it's not attached to the dyno. So now putting all these projects on the dyno and seeing how they're running, or jump in and be like, okay, actually this one's running too hot. Let's give it a little more fuel. Or this one needs more fuel. Let's put some fuel in this fire. Maybe it needs another resource, a little more gas. So you give it a little extra. So in the challenge, all we really need to do is break down the KPIs and actual points like we had in that slideshow. What data can we grab out of these? What forms can we pull data from? And then how can we help and integrate, let's say, even our own proposals with their proposals, or help accelerate the pieces that they need? Because that's what the challenge really is, this interoperability, but with people and resources. Because we have both, but they're not working together. These guys who are proposing, they're asking for resources. Do they really need the resources 3 months later? No, they need it right now. And they're trying to get their proposal together. They might not have all the pieces, but from a grand view that we can take, from a grand perspective from all of us, we look at a proposal and says, hey, this person needs something over here. And we can hone that together and use that like we're using all these other functions and skills. And I think that will kind of help us build that dashboard and make the challenge easy so we can focus on our proposal pieces once the challenge starts rolling. And we have all these KPIs off of the other people that have come into our challenge to participate. Yeah.
Okay. So,
1 second, Alexander. Lee's got his hand up.
Oh, thank you. I'm not looking at hands.
Yeah.
No, you're cool, man. No worries. All right, so I just need to know what KPI stands for, because you guys are using these terms and I don't know what it means. And then secondly, how do we actually put this into action? You know what I mean? Like, because it's great that we're talking about it, but how do we act on it?
Definitely. So KPI stands for key performance indicator. I'm trying to think of an example.
Perfect example for you, Joker, is you know how with restaurants, how they have what business was that day last year, and every day they're trying to beat that day from last year. That's their KPI. They're attacking. When you're in a retail store and you're doing inventory, you know, every time you can put a value of source for note that goes higher up to be able to use to determine the global view of what's going on.
Right. Saying once we, yeah, all right, good deal. Shit, I lost my train of thought.
So it's kind of a collection of easily accessible data in one area.
Yeah.
Okay, so this idea of this KPI dashboard, I'll be honest with you, getting on the Zoom call, talking to Catalyst proposals, proposers, talking through this medium has probably been the most foggy experience that I've had. This is what are we here to talk about? What is the main goal? And you can read this when you go on the website. It's like, okay, so this is the proposal, DApps and integration. This is our PowerPoint, such and such and such and such. But where does the average person who comes on YouTube and has to digest all of this go? And
That's a good
I
question,
think is
guys. We got to figure out how to sort that. All right.
And even more so, how do we create KPIs that are not just social media driven? Because like I can see where we can get loads of data from social media, from Discords and stuff like that, but where are other like actionable item KPIs based on how well people are learning the substance that they're being given? You know, I'm part of with Ken Adams with Interview with Q, the Fun 5 thing. When we come out with a 10-part video, we're struggling to figure out, besides views on fucking YouTube, how we can create that KPI. kind of a.
When you say that, Chad, the first thing that comes up to my mind is pay to not pay to learn, learn to earn. Learn to earn, I think, is the biggest kind of buzzword. And when we're talking about buzzwords, we're talking about target marketing for particular people who are trying to integrate within the space. So you like, you know, you hear the play to earn, you hear all these buzzwords, etc. But when you like the incentive structure doesn't need to be there, but the coagulation of data and the representation where people can easily visualize it and see it, just like Peter says he's great at visualization. I am too. I have no idea what 1,000 people are talking about without having that. And when you say where is it, the top website that I can think of on Cardano is Cardano Cube. You got Cardano Cube having all the massive amounts of like where to see what you know, what's happening. As far as catalysts, you have these antiquated websites and word walls and like a kind of an educative throw up, if you will. And most people can't consume that. And so I think it's important for that integration model to be easily accessible, easily trusted, and consumable for the average person. And I think Chris has the right kind of mindset with the idea of the KPI, because it not only motivates the creators, but it also motivates the user base. So it is that form of KPI, UI, UX kind of integration that I think has that strength to grow into something that is important for at least catalyst proposals. And I know that's like, okay, so you have this big, gigantic, shadowy figure of this vision, and then our words. But does anybody have any ideas to kind of strengthen the KPI data structures in an easily consumable way? And I just want to go on another tangent here. I remember being in college and thinking of why isn't voting on a damn website? Why do I have to go in and sit in a fucking line or have this shady guy come up to me at a grocery store and you know what I'm saying? Have the shady guy come to me in a grocery store and have me sign their save the childs of the wild proposal. What the fuck does that mean? I have no connections to save the children of the wild. So, you know, it's like if there was that a way where we can have an easily adaptable, easily understood visual kind of click and thump onto a website that has that beautiful KPI, that has that beautiful connection, even to peer-to-peer event scheduling, that anyone could see and trust in a pretty picture.
I have a thought for a future plan for it that would take some funding and time to build, but you could have a driving catalyst university with inside Cornucopias or something and literally have people come to you in the metaverse to learn, to talk, to sit in a boardroom and like discuss plans, etc. I mean, then you would have literally trackable KPIs because you would have the, you know, who met you, time matched, you know, subjects talked about, things like that, all available within the metaverse information.
I think
the entire time you were talking, Alex, I was thinking of what Dana said last night or whatever, when we were talking in Spaces about how Coinbase has got those learn to earn little Quizlets that they do and stuff, that it's like, you know, I think what you're describing is Cardano needs to have a hub that is a Project Catalyst offshoot that's kind of a little more official, but it also can be have little community sections in it. But like, for example, there will be a generalized, here's this many different chapters that's like get you educated with Cardano, but then maybe like Gimbal Labs has a presence on the website. Maybe when you go into the Gimbal Labs community, there's the extra classes that coordinate with what they do and every thing like that. What that allows though is if you put the KPI dashboard, to speak in Web 2 sense, if you make this dashboard to where people are loitering on it and they are engaging in what you are trying to learn from them within that website, then you are from the source grabbing the KPI. You're not having to grab it through scraping. You're not having to, API into other platforms. You literally are getting it from the belly of the beast.
I'm sending you 1,000 fist tokens for that response, Chad.
And the last thing I will say is saving the children of the wild is definitely the visions of the new world. That's all I'll say about that.
Visions. Yes.
Loops.
So, I mean, there's Cardano 24 right now, which is a social media platform that Holger put up. So I don't know, you might want to check into that. And that might be a way to interconnect with people on Cardano, so it's semi-official. But basically, I haven't checked it out. I guess I will tonight. But the way it was explained to me is kind of like a Facebook setup. So I don't know if they have video calling or anything like that. But that just might be another, avenue to use.
What about this? Could you repeat that again, Lee? Because you mentioned Holger, and then I like the guy, so I lost sense of what you were saying.
There's a social media app called Cardano 24. Yeah, someone just put it in the chat. So I didn't know if that would be able to be utilized to kind of like, interact with people in an educational way. That's
No.
off of Twitter.
I like what you said. To go back to what Chad said, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because I have two parts of my mind: is build the DApp and create a beautiful UI that is easily understood, whether it's for Catalyst proposals, etc., whatever, or go to one that's already been created. As many people have said, no idea under the sun is new. And so I think, Lee, I think you might have something to think about. Yeah.
Sweet, guys. Ooh, yeah. We're approaching an hour and a half. It's awesome conversation. Do we have any closing thoughts or remarks?
We do have our wonderful Costco coming in hot.
Oh, he's coming in?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Costco, for joining us. If anybody didn't give their driving catalyst or integrations remarks, get that in now. Sorry for the late link there, Costco. But we'll catch you up. And we have the Telegram slides. We got the crash notes. I see Pyro's taking wonderful notes today to get us some nice KPIs. I got some stuff in the crash notes. All good comments here, guys. We are going to be flying here shortly. And yeah, I'm super excited for the teamwork we got going on here already. And I think this is something that's never really been done before in Catalyst, and this is going to be a good test. And on that note, Peter, I don't have the challenge KPIs from last time, but I do have documentations that I used.
Yeah, let's get all those in the same place, at least between you and I, and then we can work on dispersing them in a good way to everyone else. Yeah, that'd be fucking great.
Welcome, Painter. If you have any comments, thoughts. I did see Costco come in. He might just be still navigating. But yeah, we're on time here, guys. So we could always catch up after the meeting, but we want to keep this long form content a little on the short side.
Yeah, this is we upload all of these videos to Driving Catalyst YouTube. I can, where the fuck will I find the link to that? I can drop that in here for you guys, but super excited you all came here today. Super excited to get to know you better. Awesome to put faces to names for a lot of people I've seen around on Twitter. I don't spend a ton of time on Twitter, but when I do, and now that I'm getting to know people better out here outside of Twitter, it'll make being on Twitter that much better, because yeah, Twitter could be a toxic place and I can feel it, and I just don't like being there sometimes. But yeah, thank you all for coming. This is Driving Catalyst. Feel free to hang out after we end this recording and chat. Peace out, YouTube. Wish you were here so you could keep talking. Bye.